One of the biggest confusions along a spiritual awakening journey is where we as humans fit into the larger picture of creation. Are we simply children of God, or are we much larger of a force that is in a state of spiritual amnesia? So today I'm going to be talking about where exactly souls embodying a human form at this time stand in the larger picture of creation. We tend to take on an either-or mentality when it comes to being able to grasp larger concepts of reality. And because of that, we can stunt our own progression and our own evolution if we stay stuck, always referring to a paradigm that won't lead to further revelations. And one of the most common ways that this block manifests as is by believing that we are simply a child of God or a child of the universe. And by doing that, we stay in a very stunted element of our own evolution and growth. So why we think this in the first place, that we are simply a child of God, is because one, we were in ages before this age where we were supposed to have taken on that level of density and that level of spiritual amnesia in order to access and hone into certain experiences. So it actually greatly benefited us within our own exploration within this reality. And because of that, we still have the residue of these beliefs embedded within our own programming and within our etheric template. But because that is not the holistic truth of our being, we can only go so far within our own spiritual evolution until now we're running into ourselves in the paradigm because we're not allowing ourselves to access more and higher planes of truth, because this is as far as we can access within that range of believing that we are merely a child of the universe. Another way of saying all of this is that we are merely an aspect of the all. Now that in its own right is true. However, the way that this reality is set up, it's the fourth dimension is projecting the third density, the third dimension, into being. And that's because this third density that we're inhabiting is a holographic projection that is being emanated from the fourth density. And all of the densities above even the fourth density are holographically projecting one another deeper and denser into this universe. Now, in order to understand the implications of what I just said, we would have to know how a hologram works. A hologram has all of the information that's contained within the entire hologram inside every piece and part and aspect of it. So if you were to break a holographic plate, each aspect that's shattered, each shard, would have in it all of the information that is contained within the whole. So the aspect, the part, contains the all within it. So when we think that we are merely an aspect, or what's commonly known to as like a child, but an aspect of the all, without tapping into the deeper truth, which is that we are the all that is being experienced in a unique aspect. So then we take on an either-or mentality and we start demonizing higher planes of consciousness that are able to grasp and connect with the ability of our godhood and us being the multiverse in this form. And then we can end up fearing our true identity. And this happens all of the time. We take on an either-or mentality, meaning that we're either the aspect or we're either the all, without knowing that as we're being projected deeper and deeper into a universe, the hologram will contain the all even within every aspect of it. And this goes down to the microest of micro level. What I mean by that is it doesn't just stop with us being a fractal that's projected down from the fourth density. This continues at a micro level. So it's just fractals on top of fractals. And within a fractal, all of the information of the macrocosm is contained within that microcosm that is called a fractal. So the fractals extend and extend down to every single aspect of our own human anatomy. Many of you may already be familiar with the fact that within our palms, we're able to read the different organs and the different meridians in the entire body. this doesn't just stop with the palms. A lot of us may already know that we can do this still with the ears. We can do this with the soles of our feet, and so forth and so forth. This is so fractal that you can read all of the meridians and all of the organs within the body within your gums. I'm not even kidding. It is so fractal that each piece, no matter how small it is in relation to the largest piece, has all of the information contained within it. Some people use the truth of our reality being a hologram to diminish both the soul, the planet, and our sentience into nothing more than cold math. Merely ones and zeros, as if coding sequences is the entirety of our consciousness. This logic has its roots in nihilism. It's a thought form, in existence, that cannot perceive the creative spark inherent within the soul or creation. In fact, it reduces creation into merely an artificial act, a meaningless experiment. However, the holographic nature of reality is not in conflict with sentience. It is not in conflict with the soul or spirit. It is a holistic co-creation between spirit and consciousness, between thought and being. It is the manifestation of unconditional love. This truth behind the fractal nature of reality is most popularly known within the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. That is showing the law of correspondence, which is that what is below, what is the fractal of that which is above, directly corresponds to and mirrors the nature of that which is being reflected in the above, and so forth and so on. Awakening to the truth that we are both the aspect and the all, both at once, helps rectify and reconcile the paradoxes that come from us having to choose an either-or mentality from the states of consciousness below this level of truth that's revealed to us. And this perception has the potential of being recognized as merely a nuance, but it is a nuance and far more than that, because it shifts our energy field into an entirely new frequency domain, where we're able now to access more information because we're at a higher plane of consciousness than the one that we were operating from below and trying to get higher revelations from and trying to embody more of our being from and trying to spiritually evolve from. But you can only go so far until you're hitting that glass ceiling, because that truth that we are a child of source can only take you so far, because a truth is still a truth, but it depends on what degree that truth is speaking to. So a truth at one layer of reality might not be the entirety of truth at a higher level of reality. So even truth can be but a half-truth until we embody the skills of the master or the magician, which is paradox. Paradox and nuance are how we are able to continuously embody higher truths and not have them at war with one another, but harmonize them, which is actually the deepest truth of the magician archetype, and why you see the magician archetype always depicted with the infinity symbol above his head. It's because what he's doing is reconciling paradox and duality within that infinity symbol. He is not pitting the higher truths against the lower truths. He is harmonizing them. He is reconciling them through nuance and his capability to transmute the lower into the higher. Paradox requires the ability to discern and to perceive nuance. It requires us to expand our consciousness enough to perceive the relative truths and the absolute truths, which each have their place and their purpose. For instance, the divine must hold the focus point that we are in an illusion, but only so as to not mistake it for all that exists. Calling reality an illusion from one point of view is not diminishing reality from another point of view. It is connecting the spirit to a higher plane of consciousness beyond that reality. And yet, if we were to call reality nothing but an illusion in our human form, this same truth would be used in a harmful way to deny and reject the reality of our internal and external world. Paradox breaks us out of whatever programming we have incurred within the matrix. The matrix itself is reconciled as a sacred emanation that projects us into matter. When you integrate duality, it transmutes into paradox. And all of this alchemy is not only taking place within our individual and microcosmic lives, it's also happening at the macrocosm level. And because of that, even Source is going through this I and we aspect versus the whole, versus the all, harmonizing and reconciling the ego with the higher self, the observer and the observed, the creation and the creator. When we are able to grasp that even Source is in a state of becoming, rather than us just being extensions, living an imperfect existence, where there is a glass ceiling to an existence that is perfect, that's a duality going on there. When we're able to rectify duality into its higher and exalted form, which is paradox, now we're able to be located within a multiverse that is becoming, that is evolving and growing, rather than it has already been created. So it's the difference between being in a creating multiverse or a created multiverse. And these 2 points of reference, one where there is a created universe, there's no more creating, and there's only static perfection, versus a creating, ever evolving, ever becoming multiverse, are as vastly different as a ship that has their wheel just 1 inch off from their destination will lead to a vastly different location over miles and miles and miles of their journey. I hope this has helped you sail the holographic seas of the multiverse. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakenings. See you next time.